here, because at this point, Scott, I've got to think advantage Adrian Holm.
What's also key as well, we have to watch out. These guys are coming through lap traffic, and that's going to play quite a factor. Seems to be as though Toby's possibly coping with it a bit better. Of course, Toby's still got to negotiate his way around Bruno Sousa Ferreira as Holm makes his way in towards turn 6. And these are the places we've seen. Biggest mover through the field is Ryan Walker into 8th position. He really is flying along. I did say he was one of the quickest guys on single lap pace, as you see Sousa Ferreira allows Toby Davis through. He's up 8 places off the start from his grid position. Kevin Enderman is up 6 places into 9th. Boy Bryce is up 11 places to 14th.
Wow.
Brilliant stuff. He started 25th on the grid. And he's now up to 14th. Brilliant stuff from him to move up. Daniel Beck's up 9 places, and we've also got Jeff Dobbing is up 6 to 21st. So some big movers and shakers, but at the moment it is still Adrian Holm in the lead, and the gap's gone back up to 2 seconds now. And I imagine it's probably due to the fact that Toby had to get around Ferreira, but Holm had quite a bit of clear air because of the fact that he cleared him a lot sooner. So looking back at the rest of what's going on behind these guys, the gap between Tolborg and Strana is now 1.9, and they currently have Jonathan Osserklint, the sunburnt Jonathan Osserklint, is a lap down now, and 1 point now they have a car between them. There's Strana in 4th place holding on. Rasmus Salo is in a further 4 seconds back from these guys as Darren Adams leaves the pits. 16.1 second pit time. Didn't see where he pitted from, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, I believe he was like past 20th position, but I think that's pretty much going to start off the beginning of this pit one. I believe we're working from lap 19 to about lap 23 is the longest you're going to see here, Scott. So I'm very curious what we're going to see here from the leaders. Let's actually ride on board. Adrian does not go in this lap. I think that's Andy Johns in the pitch we saw there. That was Andy. So none of the leaders seem to go through. Toby Davis doesn't. Jasper. The thing about Tolbert, he usually sometimes he will go into the pits earlier than his competitors, but seems to just want to play it close to chest here, not do anything too crazy. I think he's just content to hold his position. So far, Salo, Brent, no one of note really is going into the pit. Into the pits at this point. Here's Ryan Walker, the aforementioned Ryan Walker, up a lot of positions here from the start. I mean, he's being in 8th position, like you said, Scott. Very quick driver here in pre-practice, so he's really converting that to the race here. He's without his teammate though, Matt Richards here, the other Aerostream Motorsport driver. So even without his teammate, Ryan Walker is stepped up and is performing very well here. And we have Davey Young, but Kevin Enderman within the top 10. The best run we've seen all season from Mr. Enderman there with that lovely Bayern Munich livery. Remember, Enderman, he's associated with Andy Johns and those guys. So it's very good to see him up in that top 10. He's going to be thrilled to be this high in the field. So let's actually just continue to ride the lead. Again, Adrian Holm goes through to start lap 20, or lap 21 rather, of this event. So far, no one's going in, Scott. When do you think we're going to see the first guy to blink? Maybe even we're seeing, do you think anybody's going, if it's the status quo, to go one stop even?
Well, it'll be a tricky one. I think these sprint tyres, I think, if someone tries to run 30-odd laps on these sprint tyres, they're playing a very brave game. I mean, Adrian Holm's pace currently sees him setting 1 minute paces of lap times of 1:08. That's not a bad race pace at the moment for him. But of course, we're now at the point where you would expect the tyres to have gone past their optimum range. They're near the end of their life now. They've run 21 laps. We're already a third of the way through this race here at Sandown. So I would expect some of these guys to come into the pits pretty soon. If Adrian's been pushing that hard and he wants to try and split his stints to equal length, then I would imagine he would want to come in on this lap. So let's see if he sticks to the right. Does he? No, he doesn't. He carries on. What about Davis? Does Davis carry on? Let's have a look. Yes, he comes in. So Toby Davis is first to blink. He's looking to get an undercut. A few more guys are in, including Chris Butcher. So, and Sebastian Rosemay, who's also just leaving the pit box. And also we've got that's Rasmus Salo in. So Tolborg and Strana have carried on.
Ooh, I'm not sure.
Coming through super pit stops.
I'm not so sure about Adrian Holm staying out like that. Obviously, okay, he had a 2.2 second gap going into that, but we've seen guys cut as much as 3 seconds off a well-timed undercut. So it's not completely unforeseeable that Toby Davis comes out in the lead of this race once everything cycles through. If Toby Davis can have an absolutely blistering out lap, this could be quintessentially the race right here. I'm curious what Adrian Holm and that Lazy Man Racing camp are thinking. They have to really be on it for this lap to get into the pits and to minimize that damage, because certainly he's going to lose time to Toby Davis here. Okay, that I believe that's undisputed if these guys have the same pit stop time, that is. But it's all about managing that. Okay, he needs to come out of here with about a second advantage if it was going to be worth staying out like that. Otherwise, Adrian Holm could be in some significant trouble. He's actually in the pits right now, so let's actually go on board with Adrian Holm. Let's see what he can do. Let's see how quick this stop is. We're seeing a lot of drivers coming out here with about a 12-second stop or thereabouts. So I think Toby Davis about 12.9. So if Adrian Holm can get anything under a 13, I think he's good to go to continue this, continue leading this race. Let's see what Holmes got. 10.8. That's the quickest stop we've seen. This could be absolutely vital for his race here. Let's see where Toby Davis is. Toby Davis is not in the lead.
He's coming out of turn 12.
He's going to hold it.
Coming out of turn 12 onto the straight. So,
wow,
and Holm
is well out. Well, he's into turn 1 already. Where is Toby Davis?
Let's take just under braking for turn 1 now.
Wow, he comes out. Adrian Holm actually extends the gap, it looks like, Scott. This is absolutely unbelievable. This has been such a rarity this season, because usually the guy who pits first gets the out-and-out advantage, usually seconds off, at least a second. But at this point, it looks like Adrian Holm extends the gap looks like about 4-second gap, 4.3 second gap we're looking at from Adrian Holm to Toby Davis, which pretty much means Adrian Holm's in the complete driver's seat. This is absolutely phenomenally timed a pit stop and strategy from Mr. Adrian Holm, Scott.
A very good point from Lars Bruggeman is that they may be called Lazy Man Racing, but they certainly don't have any lazy pit crews. That was an electric pit stop there from those boys there. Adrian Holm as Robert Godek heads for pit lane. I did see a few more cars were coming in. The likes of, also I saw Ryan Walker came at the same time as Toby Davis, and also I saw Boyd Bryson did as well. Tolborg seems to have made his stop as well as Eric Strana. So Tolborg and Strana are still together, but the gap is now between them. It's 3.7 seconds. So that really hasn't changed at all. So pretty equal pit stop. So those guys are still scrapping over the final podium spot. The man who's still yet to come into the pits is David Junt.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to screen. I just wanted to stay on board with Junt real quick. Remember at Oran Park he had a very bad moment where he actually pretty much stalled his car, got stuck in the entrance of pit lane while leading the race, okay? And it completely ruined his race. Was on for a top 5. Let's see if he can do any better this week. Remember, David, he usually likes to go a lot longer than any other driver with his race stints, which usually means he's leading the race at some point. We'll see. I'm thinking he's going in this lap. We'll see if everything goes status quo here for David. We'll see if he's going to stay out. Remember,
carries
David,
on.
Yeah, he usually likes to stay long like this, and right now he's running a 108.9. That's very slow time. So. Not really sure I never really know what David's thinking about doing these very long stints like this, but hey, he thinks it works for him, so we'll see how that develops. Adrian Holm, meanwhile, reassumes second position. Actually, he's our provisional leader of the race. That gap to Toby Davis about 3.5 seconds, so it's certainly an extended gap, but Toby Davis, I think he's in trouble, Scott, because remember, at the beginning of the first stint as the race started, Adrian Holm was unquestionably quicker than anyone else on track. Got himself up to a 2.8 second lead on Toby Davis, and it looked like he had the far better lap pace than Mr. Davis here. So now that Toby Davis has a 3-second gap to overcome here, or now we're looking at a 4-second gap pretty much, Toby Davis is in a tough spot, Scott. I mean, do you think he's got it within him to pull this one out?
Well, it's possible. I think it all depends on how it works out with the strategy with the pit stops and everything, as David Junt does hit the stops, so he's finally headed in at the end of lap 25. And of course, we're giving him back pole as he sweeps across the line and to start lap 26, and the gap is now 3.9 seconds between the two cars at the top of the table. Tolborg is now in third place, and the gap between, it's still 3.5 seconds between Tolborg and Strana. This will put Rasmus Solo. In fact, let's go to the field there. So it's now that the pit stops are shaking out, It's Adrian Holm now leads with a 3.9 second advantage over Toby Davis in second. Jesper Tolborg currently holds third. Excuse me, 3.5 seconds ahead of Eric Strana in fourth. Then it's Rasmus Salo in fifth position. And it says here that Junt's got out. No, he hasn't, no. But he's got back out. Ooh, just in 8th place. So it's now Lee Palmer in 6th position for Ice Cold Racing Ford. And then Kevin Enderman doing incredibly well to leap a couple of positions in the stops to make up 7th place. David Junt's done incredibly well too to get up to 8th. Tommy O'Hala he's up to 9th as well, which is pretty decent. And Ryan Walker has dropped 2 places to 10th. Robert Godeke is in 11th, ahead of Mate Orban in 12th position. Then Boyd Bryson currently sitting in 13th place for Core Ford. That really splendid looking red and charcoal grey livery, very aggressive. And then the two, Kevin Brents has really been the massive loser from that because he's down in 14th place. He's right up there. He's had a massive loss. And speaking of loss as well, Chris Butcher just he can't seem to keep it facing the right way, especially on the exit of turn 3. So. And it's thanks to his misfortunes 3 times that he's managed to go all the way down in 15th place. So he's going to be pushing on, seeing exactly what he can do. And look and see if anyone else has dropped down or really lost quite a few places. Can't see too many. That's pretty much it. Of course, only 2 retirements. We had 27 cars start the race. Carlos Ortiz with an accident and Lars Goodman with a technical failure, which saw him out of the race. And Lars could have potentially got himself a good result if he really pushed on, maybe even a top 10. But now we'll never know because he's out of this race, and we are starting to march towards the halfway point here at Sandown. And really, Danny, the whole story of the race has been Adrian Holm getting that great start, and it's been, in all fairness, it's kind of in dog racing terms, Holm's been the rabbit, and Davis is playing the role of the greyhound here. And so far, the rabbit's getting away.
I've been absolutely impressed by Adrian Holm here. I mean, you're seeing the real maturation of this driver. I mean, from the beginning of the season to now. Because remember, at the start at Melbourne, Adrian Holm had all the pace in the world. Okay, Adrian has been very quick through 2013. That's not what I'm saying here. The thing is, Adrian has become a real racer. Because remember, Adrian, he completely fell into the trouble of having the pace, but running out his tires or running into trouble. Now we're seeing a guy who seems to come full circle, has now been able to really plan his races well. We saw, I think this was really at Canada, where he really kind of stamped his name in the championship. Like, you know what? I can compete with the top guys. I believe he got a podium position there. And now we're seeing an absolutely masterclass race from Adrian Holm. Completely, I mean, no disrespect to Toby Davis. Toby Davis has been tremendous all season, but he's completely scrapping Toby Davis. Now got a 4.4 second gap lead. Has better tire conservation, better outright pace, and even had a better start off the line than Toby Davis. He's been better in every facet of this race so far, Scott. And I must admit, this is a driver you're looking at that can be a real contender, not only win this race and other races into the championship, but now I look at Adrian Holm as a real contender heading into the 2014 campaign, where he can take this year of development and growth and go to even another level. So Adrian Holm, tremendously impressed by what we've seen from the Lazy Man racing driver. Certainly, there's nothing lazy about the team he's with. So I like that point, and we'll go with that one for Adrian Holm. And as he continues to have a solid 2013 campaign, Scott.
Well, 4.5 seconds is as they come up towards Sector 2. Has it increased? It's come down slightly to 4.4. But a couple of points which we think we should mention is that going into next season, of course, this performance is definitely going to raise the eye and the attention of probably some of the top teams, maybe THR, maybe even Precision, maybe even Ice Cold, or some of the bigger teams, if you like. But also, one interesting stat to tout is that of all the races that he's done in both V8 Supercars and also in the Minis, he scored podiums and pole positions, but Adrian Holm has never won a TPS race. Now, I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, but the way he's going at the moment, this is looking extremely likely. This could be his first ever TPS victory, and what a way he could do it. Here at Sandown, taking the fight to the likes of Toby Davis and the THR boys, and the fact that Precision aren't here at all. We've got no Precision cars, no Precision drivers whatsoever in this race, so really it's kind of a bit of a let-off for the rest of the field, so they can have some fun and a proper chance of getting themselves some decent points, which is something I think that, for the most part, they've been denied because of the likes of Rietbell and Kielhoff have just been up there dominating the race victories and podiums.
Yeah, and just a quick update toward the back of the field. I believe we have lost Bruno Salsa Fiera. It looks like he had some...
And Darren Adams.
Yeah, Darren Adams, Bruno Suss, both they joined the DNF list of Lars Brugman and Carlos Ortiz, and it's a big shame to Bruno Salsa and both Lars Brugman. Remember, these guys were really so good. People thought they were taking the next step in their sim racing career at Owen Park, and now kind of coming back down to earth, you know, tonight here at Sandown. It's a bit unfortunate, a little bit of a downer for the fans of those drivers, but certainly those guys, the sky is the limit for them. I believe they're both very young, so that's very good for those guys moving forward. Unfortunately, yes, they weren't able to really get the job done here tonight, but regardless, those guys are looking very good for the remainder of this season and moving forward in Virtual V8, perhaps the 2014. But just to continue to look through the field here, Adrian Holm continues to lead 4.6 second gap over Toby Davis now. So continuing to manage that. Thalberg continues to just hold it steady. Eric Strawn has maintained about a 2 to 3 second gap to Jasper Thalberg for the duration of the race we've seen. And like I said, Scott, I think Thalberg's pretty much going to be content to sitting on to that third position, that podium. That's going to give him a vice grip on the championship, considering Rietveld is gone today, and we do not know the status of Jeffrey Rietveld, the main championship challenger going forward in the season. And like I said, we touched on this in pre-practice, and in qualifying rather, but Rietveld kind of just disappearing like this. The minute he has to face some type of adversity, it does not look good. I'm sorry, you know, from a commentator's perspective, from a fan's perspective, it simply does not look like Rietveld is up for the challenge of a guy actually now challenging him, because Rietveld, he's been the front runner throughout this series, and you know, the minute he goes down, we don't hear him. So it certainly doesn't look good for him. Rasmus Solid here in 5th position, and Lee Palmer, I just can't tell you how impressed I am by this, because Lee, remember, since Canada, Lee Palmer seems to have turned a corner. Had a very good, I believe he finished 11th or 12th there, took that into Owen Park, had a solid place there, and now to be running inside the top 10, just outside the top 5, Lee Palmer, we talk about the maturation of some drivers, this is certainly one of them, who's, Lee Palmer has come a long way since the start of this championship, where he was, I believe, in Division 2, now to be a contender here in Division 1, very impressed by what I've seen from Lee Palmer. David Yunt in 7th position with Kevin Enderman. Remember, Enderman got out in front of Yunt through the pit cycle, but it looks like David has made this overtake for that 7th position. But regardless, Kevin Enderman, remember, he was doing so well to be 10th. Now he's up to 8th. So Kevin continues to impress here at Sandown. Another driver. I mean, we see this week to week, Scott, where we have these guys like, I know Bruno, we talked about, Bruno Salsa-Fiera, Lars Brugman, came out of nowhere last week at Owen Park to put up some really good results. And now we're seeing the surprise drivers, Kevin Enderman, Lee Palmer. It's great to see this from week to week. We have Tommy O'Hara there in 9th position. Remember, this is his 3rd race for driving for THR, and is doing a very good job under the THR colors at THR Green Machine. Robert Godica, who's done a fabulous job to recover from that earlier spin-off in the first lap. Remember, I think it was Robert who was a little slower than Chris Butcher earlier in this race, but meanwhile, Chris Butcher continued to fall off, but Robert Godica, he's just held the line, managed to make up positions, and is now there in 10th position. Ryan Walker here in 11th, who, like you said, Scott's been really strong the pace-wise throughout the week, and is now really capitalizing there to get up to 11th position. Matej Orban there in 12th position for DPG Motorsports. Wasn't here with us for Owen Park, but he's now back with us, running just outside the top 10. A solid outing here for Matej Orban, who's one of the up-and-comers within the series. I mean, we talk about, again, drivers maturing and whatnot. This is another driver from last year to this year. Actually, a lot of drivers say this is the most improved driver we've seen from 2012 now to 2013, and I definitely agree with that. Kevin Brent's there in 13th position. Remember, Kevin qualified 5th, so he's having a dreadful outing at this so far. Certainly he's going to lose points to guys like Toby Davis, Eric Strawn, Adrian Holmes, so he's not going to be happy there to be in 13th position. Chris Butcher continues his dreadful outing now in 14th position. Lee Palmer into the pits, it should be said. So, I mean, Scott, I just want to bounce this off you real quick. When do we expect, are we into that second pit window, or do you think this is a little bit early here?
Well, I'm just watching because Lee Palmer just made a pit stop. The guy you were talking about just there, Lee Palmer, he's just pitted on lap 30, end of lap 34. So I wonder if maybe he's. I'm not sure when he pitted again. Either he's stayed out for quite a while, and he is trying a one-stop strategy. If he is, then fair play to him. But we'll have to wait and see on that one as he rejoins. Then when's he going to come back out? He'll probably just come out in front of. That'll be out in front of one of the THR green cars, or just behind it now. So that's him back out in. Actually, he's now 19th, ahead of Andy Johns, who quite a way in front of Andy Johns, in fact. But Lee Palmer actually is quite intrigued because he's not a stranger to rate to what I'll start again. He's not a stranger to winning in TPS. I believe he's won a V8 Supercar race. That was back at Oran Park in 2011. He won that race from pole position, so he's not a stranger to winning, and he backed that up recently with wins in Division 2. And I think it was both races if I look on the results page for him. Answer that is no, I'm incorrect. He won race 1 and he finished second in race 2 in Division 2 back at Tom Onslow Cole Cleo's at Silverstone. But both races he was on pole position. So Palmer's another driver who's looking pretty strong, and he's also on form at the moment. Looking at some of his other races that he's done, is it fair? Not to take anything away from Lee at all, but most of the races he doesn't really finish inside the top 10. He's usually somewhere around outside the top 10, mid 10s, somewhere around the 20s in the field. But he has the odd occasion where he has a good race and he finishes in the top 10. Examples you can say are other races. He had Simmons Plains earlier this week. Earlier in, he was P4 and P6. Simmons Plains in both races. He was then P7 at Albert Park. He was P9 last year at Adelaide as well in the race, and he started second, finished second at Mount Panorama back in 2011. He was P6 at Surfers Paradise, P8 at Sydney Olympic Park that year as well, 2011. He was P8 again in 2011, Phillip Island. So he can finish in the top 10 when it goes right for him, but most of the time either he's just unlucky or just doesn't seem to have the pace to match the guys to get a top 10 result, and that's quite a shame. And of course, I'm aware that's Division 2 results, but as being pointed out in the chat, but still.
Well, the thing about Lee, I think you touched on it, Scott. It's been the pace pretty much with him, and we've seen over the past maybe 3-4 rounds, the pace has slowly stepped up with Lee. Maybe he's getting back to that 2011 standard a little bit, so that's very good to see. But continuing to ride down the grid, actually we had Sebastian Rosemeyer there. Let's actually just scroll up to him there in 17th position. Ethan Bass there in 16th position rather. So. And let's go back down. Rob Taplin continues. Actually, no, he's made a position. Actually got past Lee. That puts him up to 18th. And I think you're right about Lee. I think maybe he's on a one-stop strategy, but that's very risky to do. He's got about 30 laps he's got to do on these tires, and I'm not even sure what's going on there because it's definitely too early for a two-stop strategy. Don't know what's going on with Lee there. Perhaps maybe somebody can report on that for us, but. If he's in fact doing a one-stop strategy, then it's very daring, and so far I think it's going to work because that would have effectively meant he went 34 laps on one tank of fuel, and I'm not even sure that's possible. So hopefully someone can rule on that for us. Meanwhile, here we have Andy Johns there in 20th position. I think Yvonne Navarre, Yvonne Navarre was just in the pits. Jeff Dobbing here, 21st. Jonathan Ogercliff there, the sunburned Jonathan Ogercliff there in 22nd. Yvonne Navarro rounds out the field in 23rd position. Remember, Yvonne, like I was just saying, it was into the pit. So let's pick it up back with the front now. What is this? About an 8-second gap lead for Adrian Holm. What happened here?
But we'll come back to that in a second because one thing I do want to focus on. Battle for third, because look who's caught up to Jesper Tolborg, Eric Strana. I've been watching this over the past few laps. He's now brought the gap down to pretty much just under a second. So Strana is finding some pace in this second stint here towards the end of it. And wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the next couple of laps... Oh!
Whoa, Toby!
Davis spins at turn 12! Now what on earth happened there? Toby Davis has spun it and has lost the back end of that THR Commodore at turn 12. It's down to 4th position.
Yeah, so
look at the replay, and he lost it. Look at the replay. He lost it on the entrance to turn 11.
Wow, by himself.
And then let the car roll across turn 12. Yep, himself. And then let the car roll across turn 12. That was pretty dangerous from Toby there, but he did it, I think, to let both Jesper and Strana through, so he didn't get in the way of his championship-leading teammate. Now, that's not. I certainly don't think that was preempted. I don't think that was staged at all. But we'll have to wait and see. But all that mistaken, I put Strana right onto Tolborg's back bumper, down the back straight down towards that treacherous turn 6. And Strana's having a look, but he's not far enough alongside. Tolborg has the line covered, that one. He'd be pretty daring if he tries to move down there at some point, but...
You know, Scott, this is a very interesting situation because I know Jasper Tolborg is a real racer. He doesn't really put too much, despite him winning about 5 TPS titles, he doesn't put too much emphasis on going out there and winning. The thing is, though, if I'm Jasper Tolborg, okay, I'm letting Strawn through right here. He's got the fastest car right now. You don't really need to fight for his position if you're Tolborg because yeah, you got Toby Davis behind you. If you let Strawn through, you're still in 3rd position. You still are on podium. And meanwhile, yeah, if you fight with Strawn, there is always that risk there could be contact there that could completely ruin Tolberg's race. But I realized Tolberg is a complete racer. He loves going out there and competing. It will be hard for him to let anybody through, but at the same time, you have to wonder how much is it worth going against this ice-cold racing driver and Eric Strawn, who we've seen, Scott, through the whole week of testing and in pre-practice. He's one of the fastest drivers out here and seems to finally have gotten the legs under that ice-cold racing machine. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic we've got to see how this unfolds over the next few laps. Remember, we're entering that second pit window, about 24 laps here to play with. So I guess we're going to go into that window within the next 2 or 3 laps, depending on how guys want to play their strategy. And just a quick update on the Lee Palmer situation. I'm getting reports that he had a lot of damage on that car and he had to go in to fix it, otherwise there would be some type of issue going on. So I think that was just a pit stop to repair some damage for Lee Palmer, which is very unfortunate considering he was running in 6th position when he had to pull into the garage to get that taken care of.
Well, look at this, and all that was lag on my screen. I thought they were both going wide at turn 1, but that's just my screen playing up on there with a bit of lag. So Tolborg, he's not one to come under pressure, and he's certainly absorbing it very well from Strana. And of course, if Strana gets past and it stays that way to the end of the race, we'll be looking at a Swedish 1-2. So if there are any Swedes watching, you best hope that Strana can get past. But of course, Tolborg, as you said, with no precision cars in the running, Tolborg can afford to let second place go. But I'm sure he's a racer, and he'll want to take every single point that he can away from Sandown to have as big a lead as possible going into Sydney and then Bathurst, because he wants to wrap up this championship. It'll be his, I believe, his 6th TPS title. Yeah. Of course, he's already the most winningest driver in TPS anyway, with 5 titles. But if he can make it 6, of course, that will really exert his authority. We say regularly that he is our own Kimi Räikkönen. He's very much the Iceman. He's very cool, very calm under pressure. Doesn't really let it get to him very much, and also, he's very much like Kimi in the fact he doesn't say much. Whenever he does turn up in TeamSpeak, I think I've interviewed him once and I managed to get only a few words out of him. Yeah. But doesn't say very much. But he always lets his driving do the talking. He's doing that right now. And Strana, he'll push. He'll keep on pushing. And if he spots a chance to even just momentarily make Tolborg lose concentration or crack under the pressure, then he'll take it. And at the moment, Tolborg is not flinching an inch.
Yeah, he certainly isn't, Scott. And to your point about Tolberg not saying much, in fact, we finally got him into the broadcast booth, I believe for the first time all season after his victory at Oran Park. Remember, he had yet to win a race before race 2 at Oran Park. He finally wins it, finally decided to join us in the broadcast booth. So you're right, Scott. We don't hear much from Tolberg, but what we do hear, we do enjoy. So hopefully maybe we can get a word from Tolberg after this race here today. Because, I mean, at this point, yeah, he's going to be our championship leader coming out of this event. Even, I believe, if he gets a DNF, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do think his gap is substantial enough, or in Kevin Brown's. Actually, yes, I am sure it's substantial enough that he will be our effective leader of the championship, regardless of how this finishes here today. The only thing is he going to get enough points to pretty much put a vice grip on the series for the rest of it? I mean, at this point, it looks like Eric Strawn has kind of backed off a little bit. Doesn't even he realizes he's going against Jasper Tolberg in the situation. Doesn't want to force anything that's not there, and is being very respectful to our defending 2012 champion. And as we're seeing Sebastian Rosemeyer, and that's probably right on cue to begin this second and final pit window as Sebastian Rosemeyer for DPG Motorsports heads into the pits. One of the first guys I believe to go in here. There's Rasmus Salo. Rasmus, he pitted from, I believe, 5th position. So let's see what's going on there with Rasmus Salo. one of the top guys to the pit. He's falling back. Kevin Enderman is in, so we're seeing the tip of the iceberg from some of the drivers, some of the top 10 drivers going into the pit to complete the final stop for the race. Remember, we've got about 20 laps to go, so now would be the time to get in. I know Adrian Holmes, you was.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. I think Talborg's in. Talborg's in for his pit stop, because I just did see a switch for second place, so Strana's carrying on. I wonder then, and Davis is in too, so both the THR guys, well, they weren't exactly stacked because they have separate pit boxes, but you know what I mean, both of them in at the same time. And as Davis stops, Talborg leaves, service is done, and off he goes. And he was going to rejoin. Where will he get out for? Sorry, let's have a look. He's going to rejoin. Well, Davis is away as well, so that's pretty slick pit work from both THR crews. Talbot goes side by side with Uttergren on the exit and muscles him out of the way. Get out of it, Jonathan, he says. Might be sunburned, but I'm championship leader, so I'll have that place on track, thank you. And Talbot exits out. He's fourth, and Davis slots in nicely behind him fifth, and actually wasn't too far back, so Davis managed to find a bit more pace and get onto the back of his teammate, but I'm pretty sure to try and maximise Talborg's score. Wouldn't surprise me if Davis stays there and remains and looks after fourth position for a while. His target, if he can help it, is to try and, if Strana doesn't capitalise on it, he is probably going to suffer from. Then obviously Strana doesn't have a good run in this final section. Hope Davis can spot an opportunity. He'll take it, as race leader Adrian Holm is in the pits right now, getting a new set of tyres. Try to rinse him a words here. I'm going to try and get it together.
Holmes' time for his last stop was 10.8 seconds. This time it's over 11 seconds. So Holmes, his pit crew has been very much on point. It's kind of like these guys realize what it is, and they realize that Adrian Holmes is fighting for his maiden TPS victory, and they are completely on point at this time.
Yeah.
So Adrian Holmes, he continues to lead this race. What we got, Scott?
Sorry, Strana has leapfrogged Talborg. He's done it. He stayed out an extra lap, and look at that, Strana is into third position.
Wow.
In fact, that's net second place. So Strana, with a beautiful bit of pit strategy, excuse me, has managed to get himself into second place ahead of Talborg. Now, how about that? So it's now Swedish 1-2. And remember, Strana and Holm wanted to try and dominate this. They wanted to be the first and second and start from the back. They've gone for the latter option, and so far that's working out perfectly for them. So THR have been shuffled out of what was second and third. They're now third and fourth. And Adrian Holm is now 9.7 seconds up the road from what is now David Junt. And Strana's only a second behind him, so that's worked out pretty well. So Junt's probably going to lose his place on those older tyres. And wow, that's really great stuff from Ice Cold Racing and Strana driving the extra lap to get the... It's not really undercut, is it? Because that didn't work for Talborg, so...
Yeah,
that's fantastic strategy from Strana.
We've seen this now that for I believe that's the second or third time we've seen this, Scott, where the guy who stays out longer who's that off? Is that Andy Johns? Who's that off just before the pit? Stop.
Oh, there's a couple of cars. One of them was a THR red machine. I'm pretty sure. That's either Brent
can find out who
that's
that
Chris
was.
Butcher. I think it was Butcher. I think it's Butcher because there's a car stationary at pit entry.
Yeah,
now we'll have to figure out who that is. There's a car that's sat at the entrance to the pit lane, and we have to figure out. It's Rob Taplin.
Yeah, and Butcher. It looked like Butcher was involved. Butcher's into the pits as well. Yeah, so it looks like some type of contact happened there from those guys. I think there was massive damage on Butcher's car.
I see what it was. Taplin comes through, and Butcher. Oh goodness, Chris Butcher.
Oh no!
Either he just didn't judge that Taplin was going to slow down that quickly, or just forgot his brakes, because Butcher just simply hits the back of Taplin's car. Butcher hits the back of Tap's car, then kind of loops it around to get into the pit entry. Taplin then is stuck in the pit entry to try and get it out. He has to move to try and get in front of Taplin, and almost is collected by Robert Godeker. So that really, yeah. Butcher's gone from bad to worse. He's now rejoined the race. He's back in 22nd place. In fact, he's 22nd place, and I think he's not touring because he's actually letting cars through. He's letting the leaders through, in fact. But Chris Butcher, 3 spins, and now a collision with Rob Taplin. Not the best day at the office for the Englishman.
It's been an absolutely miserable day for Chris here. And sorry to the viewers that we haven't been able to get our replay here working. Scott has been able to do this, give us a play-by-play on his replay. So we apologize for that. But Chris Butcher, another mistake for the THR red driver. And Chris, he's been up and down. He's been within the top 10. He's had the pace, but you're seeing just a lack of consistency today from Mr. Butcher, and who's usually one of the very top drivers, especially when you get him in these rear-wheel driven cars like this, but completely off the mark here today. Certainly a race to forget for the THR co-owner at that. So Chris Butcher's got to really work on the consistency. Certainly hasn't impressed many with his driving here today. Back out at the front, we have Adrian Holm. And, you know, actually back to the point, who is that? It's Andy Johns off.
Yeah, Andy Johns. That's Andy Johns spinning it at turn 1.
Yeah, again, another driver having trouble in that opening complex here, and Adrian Holm is just weaving through traffic here. I believe that's Ryan Walker and one of the DBG Motorsport cars in front of him. Yeah, or Sebastian Rosemeyer, perhaps. Regardless, Adrian Holm has still got over a 10-second gap on Eric Strawn, and you know what we were commenting on is that, you know, the guy who was pitting, whoever tried to do the undercut, as in pit before the driver in front or behind them, they did not make out with the advantage today, Scott, which has completely gone against the trend we've seen all season, which is that the car that pits first gets the advantage. So the drivers who knew to stay out longer really did their homework, and it's a good thing to see. And we're seeing some absolute craziness as Adrian Holm or Eric Strawn tries to get around all this lap traffic. Yeah, he's
done it as well.
It goes through Taplin, goes through Ivan Navarro, and I believe that was Chris Butcher somewhere in there. But absolutely tremendous job for Eric Strawn. Probably a heart and throat moment for him there. So, and now the THR drivers are going to try to go through. These guys are in squad formation at that. Toby Davis goes through on Jasper Talberg, and again, that's Talberg just looking after his championship. Let's Toby Davis go through, sees he's the quicker of the drivers, and just is content to hold on to 4th position like that, as it were. Ivan Navarro now leads his 2 THR drivers with his team boss Toby Davis right behind him. Ivan Navarro is going to make quick work of getting out the way. Doesn't want to slow these guys up whatsoever, and that's very good for the THR camp right there. Navarro, sorry, goes off the track now, almost into the barrier, so perhaps getting a little too far out the way from Ivan Navarro. But regardless, the leaders are through. They are through cleanly, and they continue the race with about 16 laps and change here to go.
It's interesting that the 2 THR guys did swap places, because of course, as you said, Tolball doesn't really need to be in 2nd place or 3rd. He can let Davis try and grab some more points. But of course, these guys, this will be vital points for the team's championship, as we were talking about. As Strana is now, he's trying to get around. He's trying to get past Jeff Dobbing, which he does. There's him before turn 1, which is good work, both from Strana and for Jeff to being so courteous to let him through. And so Strana carries on. Davis now is going to try and... I wonder if he would try to do something to close in on Strana and be a bit of a nuisance. And that, of course, whilst there's 2 fights... I can see something developing here. I reckon, because Davis had the measure on... Davis has had the measure on Strana anyway for quite a while in this race. So, especially in the first half of the race. I wonder if Tolbox let Davis go, and if Davis is now going to go and cause Strana a bit of a headache, and whilst those 2 are battling, it will allow Talbot to catch up. Oh, and Jeff Dobbin! Whoa! Huge incident at turn 6. And that was all due to him letting Toby Davis through. And that could have been so bad for Toby Davis and also Jesper Talbot. Davis was so lucky. If I look on my replay, and I'm looking from... And Dobbin lost it himself. His rear wheel just clipped the edge of the grass on the right-hand side of the track. And Dobbing's car went straight up into the barriers, pieces of Ford Falcon flying everywhere from the tyre wall. And how lucky would both THR drivers not to get caught up in that. Thankfully, Dobbing was having his accident somewhere off in the grass, up in the tyre wall, and not across the track again.
What you're seeing here, Scott, is that some of these back markers are actually going off the track to avoid the front runners, and that's well and good. At least they're out the way. The problem is they're losing control of their car sometimes, because obviously you've got less grip when you're on that grass like that, and that's what happened with Jeff. He just went into the grass, perhaps applied a little too much power, the car completely snapped on him. So these guys have to be mindful of making sure they got that car nicely planted underneath them, even though they've got these front runners going through like that. But to your point about Toby Davis being let through from Talberg, I completely agree with you, Scott. I think Talberg said, you know what, I really had nothing for Eric Strawn. I was barely able to keep him behind me for 5 laps, like as it were. So he's saying, you know what, Toby, you have your crack at him. See if you've got the pace to go after Strawn. Maybe your guys fighting can then lead me to him. Who knows? But I do think that's complete team play right there, because, like you said, Scott, these guys are trying to secure their second consecutive THR. That is, they're trying to secure the second consecutive Virtual V8 Supercars Teams Championship. It's never been done before, so that's certainly something on these guys' minds. So they want to get as many points as possible, and they really want to lock out precision when they have a chance, because that's the thing we saw through the first, or rather the North American leg of the championship. Toby Davis wasn't here for THR Orange, okay? That meant Precision could have completely walked away with the team's title, but they didn't. They really kind of messed around. They had some DNFs, they had some accidents, and then some complete no-shows. So what happened was that THR was able to stay with the championship lead, or rather a few points shy of the championship leads at a few occasions. Now THR have both their drivers back, and they're doing what Precision should have, which is pretty much lay down the gauntlet and say, you know what, you're not here to capitalize and get enough points. We are. Game over. Okay, that's what we're seeing from THR. We're seeing them clinically close out a championship. And you know, not to knock Precision, because these guys have closed out a fair amount of championships in their book, but you know, it's certainly something to look at when you look at you know, what Precision did and how they could, or what could have happened here in Virtual V8 2013. And instead, we're now seeing THR do what they know how to do, what they've done time and time again.
Absolutely. Well, we'll carry on with that battle. Try and look down the field. So let's actually, whilst we're looking at, let's take a look at the field as it stands. Now we head towards getting close to the final 10 laps of this race here at Sandown. So currently the leader, as he has been, I think technically for all race, has been Adrian Holm. A fantastic performance so far. He's only 10 laps away from taking that first victory. Maybe I'm seeing things. That's Jeff Dobbing is still going, and his car looks to be absolutely fine. Now either he ran off the track and had that was just lag in front of me when he crashed. I'm pretty sure I saw pieces of his car flying everywhere, but either that's my screen. But he's carrying on. In fact, he's right in front of Adrian Holm right now. So. Anyway, Adrian Holm leading then by 12.3 seconds from Eric Strana, who does have Toby Davis closing in on him. The gap is now 1.1 seconds. So I think what I suggested earlier on is actually happening, and what we were talking about, Tom has let this loose to have a crack at and whilst they fight, Abel will probably just come from behind and take both places from them. Davis will probably leave the door open and put Strana into a position where he can't defend. Can't defend from both of THR cars at once, and that'll just allow Talbot possibly to second place. So how this plays out in the final 10 or 11 laps, we'll keep an eye on. Davis, of course, currently sits third. Talbot sitting back in fourth and watching on. Rasmus Salo is in fifth, quite a way away from his teammates. David Juntz, thanks to his pit strategy, is up to sixth. So great strategy from THR Blue and from David himself. Some great driving to get himself into sixth position. I'm not sure if he's made a second stop yet. But no, I'm pretty sure he has, because he was leading for a point, I think, in second or third at some point. But I think he has made a stop, so that's great play from the THR Blue driver. Kevin Enderber's not too far behind in seventh in the Bayern Munich-inspired livery for Team Down Under. Tommy Oyala for THR Green is currently sat in eighth. Robert Godeker ninth for No Limit. And then Matty Orban's rounding out the top 10, but he does have a rather feisty Ryan Walker on his tail for in the Airstream Ford. I wonder if he'll make a pass to get into the top 10 by the end of this race. Looking back, who else is on there? And Lee Palmer's down in 13th. So pretty decent for the top division for Lee. He's found some pace and definitely in form at the moment, as Strana has been, thanks to his clear successes. Sebastian Rosame is not too far away as well, in 14th place in the second DPG Holden. And Ethan Bass 15th for Sims. Daniel Beck is chasing after in 16th for Optimum. And then rounding down the rest of the cars, we're seeing Kevin Brent's down in 17th place. THR Red are having a poor day today. They really are having some poor fortunes. Yeah. Brent's down in 17th. Andy Johns after a couple of spins in 18th place for 151 in the rather colourful 151 coloured Holden with the Red Bus sponsorship on the side. Rob Taplin in his red, white, black. Well, he's got quite a few colours on that. It's black, red, yellow, and a little bit of white in there as well. In that Ford, 19th. Ivan Navarro down in 20th place. Chris Butcher, well, No offence, Chris, but less said about your weekend the better, I think. 3 spins and a collision with Rob Taplin. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. And then Jonathan Ossifin is 22nd, with Jeff Dobbing rounding out the 23 car still running. Our 4 retirements are Darren Adams with a DNF, and then we have Salza Ferreira with suspension problems. Lars Brugman out with a DNF as well with a technical problem, and then Carlos Ortiz with a crash as early as lap 3. So a couple of those guys did suffer early on, but Adrian Holmes still commanding the pace. We're inside the final 10 laps now, and unless something majorly goes wrong, and I hope it doesn't, I think Holmes put in a performance worthy of more than just a victory. If he can hold on for these last few laps, he's going to be absolutely ecstatic. He's taken seconds and thirds, but never a win, and it's going to be pretty sweet that he can do it here in the Virtual V8s.
Yeah, and this is going to really help him. He's going to get a bag of points from this one. It's going to help him to go after...
And confidence.
Now, yeah. I mean, it's going to help him go after Kevin Brent and some of the drivers in front of him. So, I mean, Adrian Holmes, we're realistically looking at maybe a top 3 finish position from him. And then we have to speculate what's going to happen with Rietveld. After, falling out of this one, is he just going to give up on the series altogether? Are we going to see Rietveld for the remainder of this championship? And if we don't, then we're looking at Adrian Holmes potentially finishing 2nd overall if he can continue this good form. Obviously, he's got guys like Toby Davis to deal with and so on and so forth. But this is a very strong effort from him. Eric Strawn, I mean, he's completely turned the corner. I mean, Eric Strawn was a guy we really looked at going into this 2013 season as perhaps a top 5, a podium contender for when all things were said and done, the final championship standings. And he really didn't. He disappointed for the first half of the championship. I think he was like 6th in the overall standings. But the thing is, he had simply no pace. Really, he just took advantage of other drivers' mistakes. Now we're seeing a completely rejuvenated Eric Strawn since after our midsummer break. Obviously, we took about a 4-week break, 5-week break from Canada to Oran Park. Now, since coming back at Oran Park, Eric Strawn is on another level. He qualified, I believe, a 3rd at Oran Park. Now come out here today, was one of the fastest guys in pre-practice, qualified 4th here again, and is now sitting in 2nd position, holding off Toby Davis with about 6 laps to go here. So Eric Strawn completely has turned the corner. It's going to be very interesting to see now how he can close out this 2013 campaign. I mean, talking to him, though, at the end of Oran Park, he wasn't too optimistic about his race, blamed it on, again, maybe the competitors, the field not being as strong, but I really don't see that. Adrian Holmes, Toby Davis, Jasper Tallberg, they've all been very good today. And regardless, Eric Strawn still 2nd place. He's got a lot to be proud of himself for this race here today. It's not just going through traffic. There's Jeff Dobbing in front of him. He's going to need to do this pretty cleanly here, though, Scott, because Toby Davis...
He's coming.
Yeah, he's right there, only about 3/10 off of him. So, Eric Strawn, this is definitely the battle we'll watch here as we close off this race. About 4 laps to go here. Eric Strawn has to be on his P's and Q's through this lap traffic. Otherwise, Toby Davis is now right there on him, Scott.
Well, you say he's right there. Look at that. He's literally on the back bumper. He's munching away. Look at that Ice Colour Racing Falcon. They've got the battle for 10th going on between Matthew Orban and Ryan Walker in front. And those guys will want to get around it as cleanly as possible. Not only will Strawn want to get around it as cleanly as possible to try and stop Davis from getting through. Davis will want to do the same to try and stop, to prevent Strawn getting away. And also, they'll want to try and get around it for Ryan and Mate's sake, because of course they're battling over the final top 10 place. So Strawn is having to absorb all this pressure. Of course, as we said, Holmes 12.7, 13 seconds down the road. This is for 2nd place on the rostrum. These two look like they, well, I'd say guarantee the podium. We're not over just yet, but Strawn is going to have to be very careful here and pick his moment exactly as you said. And he takes a tighter run, goes across the yellow stripe on the inside of the track to hold on to that 2nd place. A tighter run onto the pit straight and down on the brakes again onto lap 60. We're on to the final 5 laps of this race. Strawn taking a bit more exit than Davis. And still Walker and Orban are battling along. Orban just in front of the Aerostream Ford.
And to make a point about it, remember, Matthew Orban and Ryan Walker, they're fighting for 10th position, so that's nothing to sneeze at. Those guys certainly want to finish. They definitely, it's an honor to finish within the top 10. those guys definitely want those points and the prestige for doing it here. They're not going to really want to yield to either Eric Strawn or Toby Davis. So that's something Eric and Toby have to keep in the back of their heads, that these guys are not necessarily going to yield.
Oh, Walker's
just as we say that, Walker loses it, goes into the grass. What happened there? Was any type of contact did you see, Scott? Because
Let me have a look at the replay.
he might have just lost it on his own there because
yeah, he
wow.
did. Too much inside curve, but he takes out the TPS marker boards. So yeah, thanks for that, Ryan. It's not our sponsors or anything, but he's down 11th now and carrying on. He's down the pit straight, so he's recovered from that pretty well. But and that's kind of just that Strana get about half a car length now on Davis. The gap's extended a little bit more.
Well, what happened there, Scott, is that on the exit of the final corner, Toby went wide. This is after Ryan Walker, you know, they passed him, but Toby made a slight mistake, got his car sideways, and that allowed Eric Strawn to get that nearly a second gap now on Toby Davis. Because I think what's going on here is that these drivers, now we're getting to the final of those tires. Okay, so that means you've got about not too long. There it is again. Toby Davis goes off. You're seeing in the background there. These guys, those tires have just about had it. So I think at this point, these guys are just content with just taking it across the line in one piece, because we're seeing drivers go off left and right at this point. So these guys have to get the nerves calmed down and get this sorted. But you know, now I think that Matthew Orban, he's not in direct competition with anybody. Pretty much has 10th place secured, and you're going to see. I think he's going to allow Eric's trying to go right through here, and that's very gentlemanly stuff from Matthew Orban, and that's really recognizing the situation you're in. I mean, I know I harp on back markers a lot here, but the thing is, you need to realize where you are. If you've got no one to fight against, there's no reason to fight against cars lapping you. And Matthew Orban completely understands the situation there, lets the two cars go through. Very well done for Orban. And it's a Toby Davis into the wall there. Another off moment. Seems like that car is really shot through those tires, Scott. I mean, he's pretty much got to back off it at this point and conserve that podium position. There's
a car stationary on the back straight on the run towards turn 6, and I need to see who that is. It was a red and black car, so that's all I can see at the moment. I'm trying to see who it was, and who was it that's stationary in there? It looked to me like was it Rob Taplin? No, it wasn't Rob Taplin. Who was it? I'm trying to look through the field and see who that might have been.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's back to running.
I thought it was Boy Bryson. It could have been Boy Bryson, I think. Let me have a look. No, it wasn't. In fact, who was that stationary on the thing? I'm struggling. Oh, it was Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher's stationary on the pit straight, and he's now getting going again. And looks like he's got massive damage to that car now.
Wow, so it continues to.
No, he was just getting away. Sorry, that's my mistake. Looks like he's fine now. He's getting on pretty well, but. Holding on to it then, and looks to me as though Davis's challenge then, hitting the wall on the exit of the exit of turn 4.
Yeah.
Looks to be his challenge over, and Strana is going to be able to be pretty comfortable in second place. Talborg's fallen away. He hasn't got Matty Orban just yet, but heading through, looking down the rest of the field to see how they're getting on. David Junt is sat in 6th position. He's some 20 seconds off Rasmus Salo. Kevin Enderman's doing very well indeed in that Bayern Munich liveried car in 7th place. Great job from him to run that car for Team Down Under. Tommy Oyala is running in 8th position as well. Robert Godek is doing pretty well from the Opel branded No Limit Motorsports car.
Well, just
Matty Orban running out the top 10.
Here to pick up our leader on the final lap of the race. Adrian Holmes going to take it around for the final time. The Lazy Man racing driver, once the Ice Cold Racing a superstar, even their top driver Adrian Holmes was when he left the team, is now going to put Lazy Man Racing on the map. Hopefully, maybe seeing this will bring some more Lazy Man racing drivers over from iRacing. So Adrian Holmes doing well to fly the Lazy Man Racing banner here in the TPS. I mean, this is just this is a milestone victory here from Adrian Holmes. He's been in the Virtual V8 since 2011. Yep. He's been really grinding it out.
Indeed.
Almost took a victory in his maiden voyage out here in Virtual V8. Wow. Takes him about 2 years to get the job done. He's going to cross the start-finish track.
Absolutely.
With Ethan Bass here right in front of him. He takes it across the line, Scott. Well done. Adrian Holmes, 2013 Sandown winner. Well done to him. He's going to be absolutely thrilled about that one, Scott.
Absolutely. It's taken him his best previous results were 3 second places. Now he can say he's a TPS winner finally. Adrian Holm takes his first ever TPS victory here at Sandown, and you have to say that's thoroughly deserved. He deserves nothing less than that. That was such a commanding performance all race. Eric Strana continues the celebration for Sweden. It's a Swedish 1-2 because Eric Strana takes second place. Brilliant stuff from them. Third place, Jesper Tolborg, and that's going to be crucial for his championship. In fact, no, Toby Davis has let Tolborg through. Slowed right down on the last lap, and he's actually just crawled.
That's a
and that was crucial. I think he did it against Rasmus Salo. Will take the last top 5 race. David Junt's going to come across in a second for 6th position, and effectively Salo and Junt are the last 2 cars we're waiting on because all the rest have already headed past the boys. So still got a few more that have been laps. So we'll still waiting for David Junt, who is coming across in 6th position. So great result from him on the tyre strategy. Always want to make a good tyre strategy work. And Kevin Enderman has also done 7th. A great job for him for Team Down Under. Fantastic performance. Then the rest of the field coming through. It's Tommy Oyala, Robert Godeka, and Mate Orban. So a few more cars still to come across the line. Still waiting for one more, which is Chris Butcher. Is he going to make it across? He's 3 laps down. In fact, no. Oh, he's had a huge accident.
Oh,
that's on the final lap.
Yeah, I was just given a report that he was in another type of incident there, but it looks like he's again involved in some type of drama that Chris Butcher is.
I'm looking at it now, and he lost the back end at the 6th. And he's done pretty much a carbon copy of, I think, what we believe Jeff Dobbing did, and he's ripped off the wheels, the bonnet, the front bumper on that THR Commodore. That thing, I'm surprised. It's just a shell now. There's no hardly anything of that car left. That's a shame. So he's out of the race. Doesn't even make the flag, which is absolutely unfortunate. But we've got it on the screen. Let's take us through then our results. Then it's Adrian Holm. He's waited so long for it, and he takes his first TPS victory here at Sandown. And we have to say that's nothing less that's nothing less deserving. Yeah, it was absolutely a brilliant start. Got it from the front row of the grid. Jumped Davis off the line from 2nd on the grid, beat him down to the first corner, and from then on just took total command of the race from then on. Eric Strana continues the celebrations for Sweden, 2nd place for Ice Car Racing, continuing his form. Took 2 podiums last time at Oran Park. Now he gets a 2nd place, also to go with his 2 wins in the Thomas Cole Clios. Jesper Tolborg is handed 3rd place on the final lap, on the final straight, I'm pretty sure, by Toby Davis, who takes 4th. Rasmus Salo is 5th, David Junt 6th after some great tyre strategies. The THR cars 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Kevin Enderman is 7th for Team Down Under. Tommy Ohala is 8th for THR, 9th Robert Godeka for No Limit Motorsports, and Mate Orban rounding out the top 10. And even though he closed in the final couple of laps after his mistake, Ryan Walker has to settle for 11th place on that one. And what we're going to quickly do, we'll go to a couple of sponsor videos, and then we'll quickly get some reactions from the drivers here. As we said, it is Adrian Holm's victory. We'll catch his reaction and many others after the break.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number 1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
Back. I'm not sure. We're not live yet. I'm not sure what to make. And welcome back to the post-race fallout of round 8 of the Touring Pro Series Virtual V8 Supercars Series, sponsored by GamePod. What a race it was. We had plenty of battles, but in the end, it was a fantastic display of driving from one particular driver, and we're going to get our reaction from him now, and that is our race victor. Adrian Holm was with us here in the commentary booth. Adrian, your previous best results were 3 second places, all in V8s. You now come here to Sandown, and not only do you put it on the front row, you've taken what can be described as a dominating and commanding victory. Just give us your thoughts right now, because that must be an absolutely amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's incredible. I knew right from the start I had a very good chance of winning this one because I had great speed in race setup during practice. So right away I just turn off every indicator or splits and everything and just focus on my race and trying to go as quick as possible.
I think what really made it was that first opening stint where you really stamped your authority on the race itself, because you managed to pull away pretty quickly from Toby in the early stages, and then through the pit stops you were able to amazingly gain more time. It was just your pit crew had put some very great work to get you turned around in both stops. Do you think that was the secret today, just being able to really being able to go with distance on your tyres and be able to really eke out that pace? Because you said you had a great race setup. Do you think that what other factors do you think came into it? Was it just your pace, or the fact you were able to calm through traffic pretty well? Was it your strategy? What was it that really made it for you today?
It was the first 10 laps, I would say. I just put everything into it. The rears were a bit sad at the end of the stint, I have to admit, and I also started with a full load of fuel, so I just had to take a small amount of fuel to make sure I got to the end. So I had a very quick pit stop, and when I saw that Toby was around Jasper, I knew that I was fine. And then the second stint, second and third stints, I pretty much just controlled it from there.
And just quickly, just to finish up the point with you, of course, we've got one more race until we get to the big one, which is Bathurst. The next race is the penultimate round of the championship in Sydney. Looking at the track map, it's a similar kind of layout, of course, a street circuit rather than a big open race course. Do you think you can run similar pace in Sydney than you did here at Sandown? Do you think that's possible to get another victory before Bathurst?
Before this race, I was absolutely sure that Sydney was my best chance to get a win, because I've had great speed there over the past years, but I feel like I'm jinxing it a bit now when taking this one away.
Well, congratulations, fantastic victory and well deserved. Top job, buddy. Well done. So from our first place Swede, we're going to go to our second place Swede. We're going to have a chat with Eric Strada, who I believe is with Danny Asbury now. Danny.
Yeah, Eric, we're going to point this towards you. Obviously at Oran Park, you really you turned a corner, so to speak, and you were now one of the top drivers, finished on podium twice in a row, matter of fact. So now today you come out here at Sandown, and you laid down a gauntlet. We're one of the quickest drivers going into pre-practice, almost won pre-practice if it wasn't for Toby Davis. So you were also one of the contenders for pole position. So, I mean, Eric, what's going on? You seem to have really developed the pace and steps up another notch.
Well, laps. I mean, I have no idea how much practice I've done. I mean, for Oran Park, for Silverstone, and for this event. I don't think I've ever practiced that much. So it just really helps me just completely shutting everything off, everything else, and just doing laps and just filling with the setup to get every single 1,000 you can. And, I don't know. I always seem to come alive at the end of seasons for some reason. It's kind of annoying, but I'm not going to complain. At least I come alive at some point.
Now, to that effect, I mean, do you think it has more to do with maybe the pressure to start off these championships and, the field, everyone's so in it, so to speak, everyone's giving their full effort. Do you feel that there's more pressure early on in the season and that has a negative effect on you?
Well, I mean, of course, there's a bit more pressure because, as you guys said, for Watkins, you were always like, "Oh, Eric finished the season so strong, and he was a contender for podiums and maybe wins, and his expectations were really high." And of course, that takes its toll. I mean, it really puts the pressure on, and it doesn't help. Let's just put it that way. I'm not sure it actually makes me worse in the sense of actually making mistakes and things, but it doesn't help, which probably sounds kind of weird, but
No, I
yeah.
hear you. I hear you. So the next, let me ask you about your race today. I mean, there was a moment where you're going against Jasper Tallberg, latter half of the race. You're behind him going into, I believe, the second pit window. Tallberg goes in before you do, essentially doing an undercut. Well, he was in front of you, but, you know, obviously doing that means he's going to usually extend this gap. Yet you were able to go a lap later than Tallberg and come out in front of him. I mean, was there any type of strategy? Did you know that staying out would help you like that, or was that complete happenstance?
That was a complete coincidence. I was actually planning to go in at the exact same lap, but then I noticed that the first stop, when I went in right behind him, I panicked and braked, and and went into slow and lost time that way. So when I saw he dove into the pits and had someone in front of me, who I think was Jonathan, it was like, okay, I'm just going to stay out one more lap, because maybe, we saw what happened to David at Oran Park, so maybe, hopefully, Jonathan has some kind of, misfortune like that, which holds Solberg, and it ended up working. And then Toby spun, which was, well, he spun before, but they went at the same time, and then Toby really managed to hunt me down, but I don't know. He told me his tires died, so I guess for the second time in a row, I actually managed to keep the tires on the car, which is nice.
Well, regardless, well done to you, Eric. I mean, now, what is it, 3 podium results in a row. Tremendous run you're on right now. One of the hottest drivers in the series so far. So, well done moving forward, and good luck for the remainder of the championship. Now, I know Scott is with now one of the THR contingent. Scott?
Yeah, I do believe so. I believe he is in here. One of the rare occasions we do get him. We do have, I believe if he's there, we have Jesper Tolborg with us, championship leader. Jesper, if you're there, or if you can hear me, well done today. Solid drive for third place. Not only is that a great result on the podium, but also you've taken from just because
Yeah, Scott, I think you were breaking up a little bit there. I'm not sure if you guys forgot that part.
Oh, okay.
Got
Okay, not a problem. Okay, I'll quickly just ask it. Sorry, I'm not. Sorry, yes, but I'm not quite. I think you're breaking up a little bit. I couldn't quite hear him. Let me ask. Sorry, yes, but let me ask again. Third place, solid drive today. More importantly, you've also taken more points away from Rietveld. Talk us through your race, because this is a really crucial result for the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good to be 70 points in front, I think it is, so yeah. But basically I just do it easy, try to stay out of trouble for the whole race, and then just cruise down.
Now, through the midpoint of the race, Strana was starting to catch you, but obviously with no precision cars taking part, no Kielov and no Rietveld, were you really? I'm guessing you really weren't that concerned about losing too many places, because of course, regardless of what would have happened, you'd have still gained points on Rietveld anyway.
Yep, true, so I didn't really get nervous when I saw Eric beginning to gain on me, so yeah. He could pass me and I wouldn't really be worried about that, so.
And just quickly, of course, a couple more rounds, we've also got Sydney and then the big one at Bathurst. If effectively, if everything comes together, there is possibly the chance that you could even wrap up the championship in Sydney. Is that something you're going to be thinking about going towards the next couple of rounds, or are you just literally going to be going out there to get as many points as you can?
Probably just be like the same, but of course I will have it in my head that I can wrap it up there, so I'll think about it a little bit.
Well done, Jesper. Great drive for you today. Third place, thoroughly deserved, and again, more crucial points towards the championship. So that's Jesper. Danny, I believe you've got the other THR Orange driver in the team. You've got Toby Davis with you.
Yes, I mean, Toby Davis, finally, the THR co-boss, was third in the standings before, of course, he had to take his hiatus for his karting endeavors. But Toby, first of all, glad to see you back with us. I mean, how did it feel to cut it out back out on track here today?
Pretty good. I hadn't done a great deal of practice going into this weekend. I had to try and fix my pedals towards the end of last week. because I figured they were broken for Wednesday's clear race. So that was what I was doing last night when I was supposed to be doing practice, and I still haven't fully fixed them. But there you go. So I turned up and I thought, my pace was reasonable. My race pace was reasonable. Hadn't done many qualifying laps before practice, and then made a small change just before qualifying. It all came together, and obviously stuck it on pole. But I never had the long run pace that Adrian had, so he was a deserved winner today. Even if I hadn't spun, he was, just a couple of tenths a lap quicker than me on average, and somehow made up 2 seconds in the first pit stop. I'm not quite sure how that happened either. So, but one of my theories is that the tyres weren't really warming up on the first lap, and because it's such a short lap, it's actually better to pit after the person. There's no such thing as an undercut because the tyres aren't hot enough to make it beneficial.
So you're saying that despite you getting pole position, you weren't confident heading into the race?
Yeah, I would thought I might get a podium. It was hard to pick exactly how fast people were, and obviously it was a shame that Precision weren't here because it would have been nice to fight against them. But obviously they've decided they don't want to race V8 for whatever reason. But yeah, it was not really. I wasn't really that confident. I knew I hadn't done enough practice. Wasn't sure how my pedals would hold up, all that kind of thing. So yeah, front row was a nice surprise. And yeah, I ended up giving Jesper third place in the end, so that he can definitely secure the championship. But I don't think rFactor will turn up for the rest of the season now. So.
Yeah, now if I could get you to comment a little bit about the Precision affairs at this point, because these guys, they had a chance, so to speak, to kind of close out the team's championship with you being absent. I mean, did you even think, THR Orange would have a chance to win the title, let alone be the outright leaders going into this stage?
Not when I knew I'd miss at least 2 races. It turned out to be 3 in the end because of university commitments. So, yeah, I mean, it's fantastic for us, but I think Oran Park, they were fighting between themselves in practice, and Kilo was disappeared from the face of the earth, and Rietveld, I don't think he's going to bother turning up again in the V8s either. So it's a bit of a shame for the fight. But good for us. It means Jesper's probably going to win the championship, and we're probably going to take the constructors title as well.
Well, regardless, well done today. Well done to take advantage of Precision's absence to that effect. So I know, Scott, now you're with Chris Butcher. You want to have a quick word with him?
Yeah, we've got a few of our top 10 guys in here, so we'll probably catch 1 or 2 of them before we round off. But Chris, I'm not really sure where to start with this one because, you spun 3 times at the same place. You then had an incident in the pit lane with, I forget the name on that one, but with one of those guys. It's in the pit lane with another driver, and then round it off, an incident on the final lap. Wasn't really your day today, was it, Chris? Unfortunately.
No, I wasn't really with it today. To be honest with you, I was just sort of letting anger take over. I think I started off pretty quickly, and I made a few positions up at the start, and then I spun for the first time, turn 3 or whatever it is. And then I was pushing really hard, and then I span again at the same corner 3 laps in a row. And yeah, the pit lane incident, I've not really watched the replay on that. I need to go and do that, but it didn't seem that clear to me that the other driver was pitting, in all honesty, and especially with the way he was defending his position just before that, as I just come out of the pit. So I was a bit annoyed at that, actually. And then yeah, on the final lap, I was just driving like an idiot, in all honesty, and lost the back end, and that was it.
It was a rather unfortunate race. Do you think that possibly fortunes could get any better into the final 2 rounds? Of course, we've got Sydney and then the big one at Bathurst. I mean, is it really Bathurst that you're aiming for to try and get a good result?
Well, my history in the V8s at Bathurst hasn't been pretty good, so that's thanks to Mr. V. Never mind. I'd like to think that I could get a good result out of Sydney. Our pace has picked up in the V8s. I think I've been doing better recently, but yeah, yeah, this round was a one-off, I think. So I should be back to my normal levels at the next round.
Well, commiserations. It was a very tough race today, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get at least something a little bit better in Sydney, going forward to Bathurst as well. But anyway, good effort anyway, and fingers crossed it improves. I think probably just to round out, I know we've got quite a few in our broadcast booth here. I think to round out, I believe you've got Kevin Enderman with you, the Team Down Under driver, Danny.
Yeah, I wanted to have a quick check with Kevin because obviously he's had an up and down season, but finally, Kevin, you break inside the top 10 today. A tremendous result for you. I mean, talk us through how your race went today.
Was pretty hectic at the beginning. Like Jonathan spun out at turn 2, and I got through, and then there was that massive battle pack. We were like 7-8 cars. It was a massive train. I was pretty lucky not to take Mate out at turn 1 once, and yeah, and then at the end I just battled David Yunt. It was great fun, and I can't thank him enough for that great race. And first top 10 is just awesome. After Watkins, I had the car there, but you know I got taken out, and this time it feels really good. A good motivation and confidence boost for the last 2 rounds.
Well, it's certainly a good job today. And to those that don't know, any of you is watching, I'll be Kevin's teammate for the Bathurst 500 race at the end of the season. So, I mean, Kevin, as your teammate, I need to know, man. Okay, are you going to be able to bring it at Bathurst like you did today?
Well, we got to top it now, so I think the top 5 is the target now.
I hear you, Kevin. I hear you. Well done to you. I believe that's going to wrap up our interviews here. We're kind of running over time here. So, I mean, Scott, final thoughts on today's event?
Yeah, before we look at what's coming up, for us today, I think it's a pretty good race, I think. Not too many battles on track in terms of positions. It was some fairly close racing early on, but it was really pit strategy that sourced it today. And there was not too many overtaking manoeuvres. It was already kind of who could leapfrog in the pits. And surprisingly, those trying to gain the undercut, in some ways, didn't manage to get it. Some guys, it was the guys who stayed out the extra lap or two that managed to get the advantage, which was the main thing. But of course, the big story, of course, that apart from the fact that precision went nowhere to be found today, and who knows where they got to. The big story, of course, today was Adrian Holm taking his first ever TPS victory. And again, well deserved. Yeah. It was a purely fantastic drive, and he really did deserve it. Strana, again, still on form for second place. And, of course, Talbot getting handed third on the last lap. So great stuff from him. So that's that then. Looking forward to what's coming up next. The Precision weren't here at the V8. So we look at the next event coming up. If Daniel wants to pop that on the screen.
Yeah, we've got Sydney Olympic Park coming up in a few weeks' time. That's going to be 44 laps, the usual sprint tire event. No double races there. Again, the final double race was at Oran Park. So, and then finishing up, we're going to have Mount Panorama there on the 24th of August there. So we have that to look forward to. Again, Scott, I mean, we've pretty much seen, unfortunately, the championship title fight kind of be let out a little bit with, obviously, Jeffrey Rietveld seemingly, for all intents and purposes, disappearing. So, regardless, we have some good stories lines about Adrian Holm, about Eric Strawn, these guys perhaps potentially getting further up the championship standings, getting into those podium positions. So, hopefully we have that moving forward. So again, yeah, we have Sydney Park coming up at August 10th, which is in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully we will see everyone back for that one. Hopefully everyone's going to be on pace once again. I'm Danny Asbury and Scott Woodwiss. That's going to end our broadcast here. Or unless you guys
just one more thing. Sorry, if you just click, it's just on your X thing. If you hit the next event 1 button, because Danny's a bit of a novice at the cameras. Apologies for that. Just in the bottom corner, Danny, if you click that one, that's what I was referring to mainly, because with the next Touring Pro Series, he's right. There is still Sydney and Bathurst coming up, but the next event coming up for Touring Pro Series is I'm rather looking forward to this one for some reasons. The penultimate round of the Tom Onslow Cole Clear Series, and it's a good track. It's my local track, Snetterton at Norfolk. Fantastic track. This is when we're using the 200 layout, which is more akin to the old layout before they made the changes. So that's going to be running on the 31st of July, and that's going to be pretty crucial because, of course, that's going to run nicely in line with the fact that the real BTCC, which of course involves Tom Onslow Cole and Team Hard, they're heading to Snetterton this not this weekend, but the next weekend on the 3rd and 4th of August. I'm going to be there on the 4th of August and see if I can possibly chat to Tom at some point over the weekend. And who knows, on the Saturday, I might even be there in other contexts, possibly in a media context on the Saturday. Not 100%, not 100% confirmed, but if that is the case, that'd be fantastic. So I should be there if possibly for both days. So 31st July, 6:45 in the evening on the Wednesday. It should be myself and I should hopefully it'll be Keith. If Keith's not around, of course, Ryan will join me again. But it should be a fantastic event. But of course, we've got Jack Keith leading the championship there, going towards the potentially wrapping up not at Snetterton and potentially at the final round at Knockhill. But we've still got Snetterton to get out of the way, and that should hopefully be another fantastic event. If Croft and Silverton are anything to go by with these brand new Clios, for a treat, especially at Snetterton with the long straights and the tight chicanes and the slipstreaming galore down there. But yeah, fantastic stuff. And yeah, Danny, I'll leave you to wrap it once again. I'll say my bit. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you next time. And I'll let you wrap up, Danny.
Well, we'll try this one more time. Again, yep, Scott pretty much laid it out there for you. We've got Snetterton in the virtual Clios. We've got obviously Virtual V8 in a couple of weeks' time. And I'm Danny Asbury from Scott Woodwiss. Wish you a good night, and hopefully we'll see you in a few weeks. Maybe it'll be me and Ryan by that point, but hopefully we'll see you in a few weeks for the penultimate leg of the championship at Sydney Olympic Park. Until then.